the last 3 days, if you guys don't know, I am a youth soccer coach. I coach my daughter's team. I have coached my daughter's team for literally 5 years. Up on my board, I guess, 4 years. I have um, plaques on my wall, which I'm not going to show you because they have girls who I coach on there, and obviously they're youth and children and minors. But it's the coaches wall that I have where it starts in 2018 and it goes up until the coaches I have now, and it shows the different iterations of the teams that I had. You know, it's the coaches picture with the team and everything else. So this past weekend, we've gone well. Leading up to this past weekend, we've gone from a small rec team of playing 3-on-3 soccer when they're like 5 years old, all the way up to coaching 4 of the 6 girls who I started with are still on my team, and I'm really proud of that. And all those girls have moved up to the point to where we played recreation, and then we played like the next level up, and now this year we're playing competitive soccer. And competitive soccer at 10 years old is insane and stupid. And this is stupid in a crazy way, not in a bad way at all. But I spent the weekend coaching my daughter, my team. We now have 16 girls on the roster, 16 girls that are staring at me and looking at me for leadership. And, so we had a game on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we had another game today, this afternoon, in indoor soccer. So we had 4 games this weekend. And it was just absolute craziness. You're exhausted after the weekend. Like it got to a point today where I was wondering, I'm like, man, am I going to be able to go tonight? But then I was like, of course I'm going to go because your expectations of me is that I'm going to be consistently streaming and have videos for you. Let's stink and go. So with that said, got it together, started thinking about what am I going to do tonight? And that's how we got here. And I got thinking about kind of the responsibilities of coaching youth sports, and not just coaching youth sports, but also the people that I learned under and the people who molded me into who I am today, right? And I realized the immense responsibility that I have on these girls who look at me, as a coach, and I look at them as like 16 daughters that I have to watch out for, right? And help improve not just them as soccer players, but them as young women, right? And I'm not trying to be their dad or anything, but I am trying to instill life skills, right? And I think it's important to be able to do that because these girls are going to be good people long after they're soccer players, and I think that's important to bring those things into the day-to-day life, the day-to-day soccer practice, the day-to-day games. The idea of hard work. Why do we work hard? How do we benefit from that? Right? And we saw those benefits this weekend from working hard. And I really got to thinking about, the highs and lows, the emotional roller coaster of going in and, winning a game 6-1. Like on Friday, we played an exceptional game, probably the best game that we've played as I've been a coach. Played exceptional, and then the next day we came back. It's hot outside. We're all exhausted from the night before. Come back and we lose a game we probably should have won, right? And then today we played another game. We had a couple players out and we just didn't play our best, and we ended up losing that game too. And that's okay, right? So it's all about how you bounce back. But they finished that game very strong, and that was the message to them. Was like you collected yourself. We have a lot to work on, but we're going to get better. And as we get better, we're going to see marked improvement. But we finished strong and your effort was there. And that's really, when it comes to any sort of game, my biggest thing is, are you providing the best effort, not just for you, but for your teammates? Because I'm going to give you my best effort, and I expect you to give me your best effort. It goes back to expectations, right? So it's interesting to kind of go in and have these conversations and really I try to put myself in these girls' shoes, right? And so the question I have for you tonight, and this is something that I'm going to open up. I'm going to find a way to have a real, like, phone dial-in conversations with you guys. I know we can do it via Discord right now. I don't know. I feel like there's a more efficient way, a better way, where you guys can actually call in and have this. And this is going to be a discussion we'll have at a future date. I think I'm going to try to figure something out that'll allow call-ins a little more efficiently than just using Discord. But Cheesecake, thank you so much for the 600 bits. It says 100 bits per point in that 6-1 victory. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Cheesecake. Greatly appreciate that, man. That's awesome. Let's go. Give it up for Cheesecake. That's awesome. But that got me thinking, and here's the question for you. And I'm asking you right now, I want you to tell me in the chat. I want you to tell me whether you're watching on YouTube or on Twitch, or if you're watching post on the video, I want you to tell me in the comments. Who is the coach or the teacher or the mentor that helped turn you into who you are today, right? And I'll start. And number two, and the second part of that is, what do they teach you, right? Like I said, I feel we are an amalgamation of our surroundings, the people that we are fortunate enough to grow up with. And seeing kids today, you see, this Zoomer generation that spends a lot of their time staring at screens, that there's definitely communication errors that take place, or there's I say errors, but there are communication issues that take place with a younger generation, where they are legitimately have a harder time looking people in the eye, having conversations where people are so used to looking down at their phones and getting their entertainment and actually communicating via DM or Twitter or social media or whatever. And that's how they talk to each other. I mean, that's literally a way of communication now. And you can say whatever you want with your fingers, but they have a hard time communicating with their mouths, right? And that's where I feel like having a strong mentor coming in and actually teaching people these life lessons, these very, very important life lessons, are incredibly, incredibly important. For me, there was multiple people. Obviously, my dad was a very big influence on me. And what did he teach me? Obviously, I started working, I have worked with a lot of people, and I've known a lot of people that have sob stories. Oh, my life was so bad. I grew up this way, blah, blah, blah. And it's honestly like really sad to hear that. It's sad because they play a pity game and they want to be a victim. I've known people who want to be victims, right? I was taught to work your ass off at a young age. I started working at my parents' business when I was 10 years old, the same age as my daughter right now. And that was going up. I set up, my parents, for those of you who don't know, they worked in the entertainment industry. They essentially decorated, I say the entertainment industry, they worked in the decorating industry for about 20 years. And they had a business that would set up things like decorations for proms, big birthday parties. They made like parade floats and stuff. They did big balloon releases. I remember the Texas Rangers opening day for their stadium. I spent all night in a March night in Texas, freezing my ass off outside, helping my parents blow up balloons for a balloon release the following day, for opening day of the Texas Rangers, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, I don't remember. But I went to more proms before my junior and senior prom. I probably went to legitimately probably 20 proms by the time between the ages of 10 and 15, 16, because I was busy setting them up and tearing them down setting them up in the afternoon and then tearing them down at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. When I'm just a little kid, right? That's how I was raised. That's how I was taught. I support your family business, go out and work your ass off. And you grind and you make things happen. And I say this all the time. I learned a lot about, my quote unquote success in business has come from watching my parents fail in business, right? And seeing how the mistakes that they made, right, along the way. So I obviously learned a lot from my parents, going back to the original question of who is the person, teacher, coach, right? Obviously my parents were a big influence, teaching me about, work ethic, and my dad always saying, finish strong, right? That's something that I bring over to the soccer team, to my daughters today, finish strong. From a teacher perspective, I would say a lot of my elementary school teachers were the teachers that really had the biggest impact on me. I know a lot of people say that, through middle school and high school and sometimes in college, they have somebody who really bonded with them. I've never had that. I never had that in past elementary school. There's very few teachers that I really related to growing up past elementary school, or that I had any sort of connection with. I got to be honest, I can't even tell you a teacher's name from secondary school on that I legitimately couldn't tell you. So, but I will say this: I had a neighbor, a neighbor who was probably in his mid 30s, maybe early 40s, probably about my age, when my parents were working. They would work, morning to night, trying to make a living for us in their decorating business through the highs and the lows of that. But I had a neighbor across the way when I was, 13, 14 years old, that we didn't have a basketball hoop on our goal, and he let me shoot on his basketball hoop. And he would come out and we would play. And for probably a good 18-month stretch, like he was my makeshift dad. Like he was, my father figure for a while because my dad was working so much, and and you know that was more than anything just having a positive male role figure, a role model in my life, or figure, whatever, in your life at the time. And I think that's so important. And he was a mentor for a very short time. Sometimes mentors, they may last, sometimes mentors last your entire life. Sometimes mentors last just a small window, whether it's 6 weeks or a year and a half in that case, which is interesting. Let me go read off some of your chats really quick, because I think this is really important and a really great conversation to have. And I feel like this conversation actually is something that we'll definitely have this one again for sure. And I would love to hear this from you, because I'll have questions for you about that person, because you can only say so much in a chat. But yeah, once again, the question is, who is the coach, the teacher, or mentor that helped mold you into who you are? What did they teach you? And here's the last part of the question: what was the mantra that you learned that still resonates with you today? Right? For me, it's like finish strong with my dad, right? And once again, who did you learn it from? So please, let me know in the chat. This is something that I love. I love, having these conversations.